When I was a little girl, around the age of 12, growing up in Freetown, Sierra Leone, life was so peaceful. Every day, my sister, brother, and I would play in the yard with our friends. We would dance most of the time. Then late at night, we would lie on the ground together and make images out of the stars. Our town wasn't big at all. There were a lot of forests and other interesting places. My favorite place was the beach. All my ideas seemed to flow there. I would go there to reflect on life all the time. My mom told me if anything ever happened to our country, I should run there with my brother and sister. One day, it was just my sister, brother, and I home when we heard gunshots, which sounded like it was coming from far away, so we just ignored it. The next time we heard it, it sounded like it was literally in front of our doorsteps. Then the rebels of Battown, ROBT, busted down our door. There was a group of tall men. They were all wearing dirty clothing and carrying weapons. The leader of the group demanded us to get outside. When we got outside, they told us to give them our shoes. My sister, who was 14, decided to run away from the situation. The rebels started to chase after her. All of them had gone after her, so my brother and I fled. We went straight to the beach. Luckily, there was an old canoe that the rebels had once used and abandoned. When we got to the next village, there was no way of escaping, so we hid in a bush until we eventually fell asleep. The next morning, we were awakened by the ROBT. They demanded us to get up. A few minutes later, the leader said that he needed new soldiers, and that either way, my brother and I would be part of them. The ROBT made it clear that anyone who tried to escape would be shot. Clearly, none of us were going to. The days went on, and the rebels were starting to change me. It started with the training. A few months later into the war, the rebels gave us roles. They were almost like chores, but except more dangerous. That day I was told to fetch water. While going to get water, I saw the government's army. I instantly remembered what the leader had said. Then they started waving to me. I guess they could see that I didn't want to be there, but I didn't know what to do, so I ran. Sleep wasn't even something to do anymore, especially since I was a girl. They used me all the time. I remember standing behind the rebels when they were about to tear down another village. When they got hurt, they would look to me as if I were their doctor. A few years passed and my brother was shot for trying to escape. Since then, I have been trying to escape. One day, everyone was sleeping and I grabbed a gun and started to run. By this point, I looked like I was a crazy child. I also didn't know what I was doing because all the drugs that they had given me were starting to work. I wandered into a village and stayed for a couple of days. One day I woke up and I saw a bunch of people running towards me in blue and white clothing. It was the UN soldiers. They had come to help. They were rescuing child soldiers like me and taking them to rehabilitation centers. At the rehabilitation center, they gave me free education and therapy to recover from the war. Over the years, my parents filed for me to go live with them in Minnesota. My favorite part about recovering was getting to bond with other child soldiers and getting to hear their stories, and also gaining my childhood back.